Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Still wait, good morning, hello, yes? We're good? Yeah, good morning. My name's Jeremy. I'm the music director here. In this part of every other service I've ever been a part of, I would lead you in a song, but because this is the Air Communion, we're doing things a little bit differently today. I want to take this as an opportunity for us to warm up to the service together by doing some exercises that I do every week with the UUSM choir, some breathing exercises to let us become better attuned to our breath. So you don't have to stand, but those who want to may. I'm just going to ask us all by starting by taking a big deep breath in and exhale. And the interesting thing about taking a deep breath is that there are several ways to do it, right? And it depends on where you put the soft palate in the back of your mouth. If I asked you to take a very audible breath where all of the air hit your soft palate on the way back, it would sound very loud, like, right? There's a different kind of breath that you can take, which I prefer when we're doing warm-ups like these, which is an inaudible breath, where you raise your soft palate all the way back and you let the air go straight through, unimpeded, into your lungs. And it sounds like this. Nothing. So I would ask everyone now to please take a deep inaudible breath. And exhale. And a deep inaudible breath. And exhale. And a deep inaudible breath. And do your best to imitate a siren by going off the top like this. And a deep breath in. And exhale. And a deep breath in. And now it's quite the opposite. We're going to do a bubble by going from the bottom and going up to the top, like. Yeah, kind of trippy, right? A deep breath in. And exhale. A deep breath in. Let's do another siren, but twice as quiet, and twice as long. Go. And a deep breath in. And exhale. Now for this last exercise, if anyone knows what it's like a tire, if it's leaking, would sound like. So I'm going to give you a number of counts. It's going to be 8 counts. And by the time I reach 8, I want you to have expelled all the air out of your body at a relatively consistent flow if you can manage it. So take a big deep breath in. And now a tire, 8 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and out. Breathe, and let's do it again for 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And a deep breath in. And exhale. Thank you.
Let's allow our prayers for all who are suffering and in need to continue reverberating inside, through, and between us. May this community be like a bell, awakening hearts and minds as we gather each week. May we be the vibrations spreading compassion into a hurting world through our actions of love and care. When we feel overwhelmed or afraid, hopeless or heartbroken, let us remember there is a larger love an expansive spirit moving through us, and that we are never alone. I invite you to close your eyes, or if they're already closed, to keep them closed if you feel comfortable doing that. We'll just focus on the breath, or in the place in your body where you can feel the breath, feel the air on your skin, or maybe inside your body. Air inside of us, air all around us, air connecting us. The words breath and spirit share the same root, from the Greek pneuma and the Latin spirare, to breathe, and spiritus, spirit. In Hebrew, it's ruach, breath, ruach. The word even sounds like breathing. Ruach, ruach. In the Hebrew Bible, this word often refers to the breath of God, the Spirit hovering over the waters, bringing life into being. So many peoples and traditions across time and space acknowledge this connection between breath, life, and spirit. Acknowledging with reverence this invisible force that animates life. This invisible substance, this force that connects us one to another, all living beings sharing the breath of life. Conspirare, breathing together. Inspirare, inspiring each other. Breathing in and out, all living beings in their own way. Life moves through and between us. This is, we are, Earth itself breathing. Life itself breathing. God themself breathing. Ruach, pneuma, spiritus, the communion of life.
Before I start this next segment, I actually want to make a little embarrassing brief clarification correction on the title. When I submitted the title for the order of service on Thursday, that was during the period of my life when I still believed that the word ruminations was just a fancy word for word thoughts. These are not going to be ruminations, they're just thoughts that I have on breath, so nothing ruminating about it. You breathe in, you breathe out. It's something we do every day, and the order at which we do it is almost unbelievable. To put this into perspective, let's first think of some other everyday activities. As an average person, I eat every day. At least twice and sometimes as many as 4 or 5 times. That's a lot. As an average person, I defecate and urinate a few times a day, and I flatulate somewhere between 10 and 20. That's a lot. As an average person, I check my email at least 3 times a day. I'm expected to send at least 20 texts a day, and I know I check my phone a heck of a lot more than that. That is a lot. These are things that you don't really think about in the moment because they're so ordinary, so routine. It would be hard for us to properly appreciate them because it does take effort to appreciate something, and expending that effort so frequently would be exhausting. But I'm sorry, I've buried the lead here. So, just how often do we breathe, Jeremy? Well, would you believe me if I told you that the average person draws over 20,000 breaths a week? You shouldn't. I lied. The average person draws over 20,000 breaths a day. All of a sudden, those 15 flatulations don't seem so significant anymore. So, given that we breathe so frequently, why don't we appreciate our breathing more? I wonder if it's because we do it so frequently that we don't think to give our breath its time in the sun. And if that's true, that's a darn shame, because so much magic surrounds breath. Once again, I want to ask everyone here to breathe in with me and breathe out. Doesn't that feel good? How much of a miracle is it that we take 20,000 breaths a day and any one of them is capable of bringing such a sense of calm, such a sense of tranquility, a sense of wholeness, of completeness? So I want to take a little space now and appreciate breath. As a musician, breath is obviously paramount. I start every choir rehearsal with the breathing exercises as the first things we do, because you can't even start to be musical if you haven't found your breath. And this isn't just singers, by the way. Breath is fundamental to reed players and horn players too, obviously. But even string players and percussionists must be attuned to their breath. The body is an extension of their instrument in many ways, and we all run on oxygen. I went to a UU music director conference in Albuquerque over last summer. This is meant as no slight, but it sometimes felt like a breathing conference instead because of just how often we circled back to breath. There was a dedicated breathing workshop. There were also anatomical workshops. There was a metaphor sharing workshop. Music directors are nothing without metaphors. And there was a working with aging voices workshop. But those were all pretty much breathing workshops in disguise. You know, there's a part of me that thinks our relationship with breath can sometimes be a little strange. How is it that so many folks need to learn how to breathe properly in adulthood when breathing is literally one of the very first thing a newborn does as it comes into the world? Why is it that we can, at critical and stressful times, benefit from simple reminders to breathe, when breathing is something we otherwise do without thinking 20,000 times a day? I don't know the answer to these questions, but I think the very existence of these questions is in some ways magical. They speak to fundamental eccentricities of the human condition, the kinds of understated paradoxes that we have to reconcile every day, and reconciling them is what makes us human. I just know that we all certainly take breathing for granted, at least a little bit. It'd be impossible not to. It'd be exhausting. But I'm thankful for this air communion, that we may afford ourselves the proper space and context to appreciate the air, and that we may give breathing, our human mechanism for communing with the air, some appreciation as well. So now I'm going to invite our own Karen Senffner to share with us a sound bath using her Tibetan singing bowls and other musical instruments. In order to appreciate the sound bath, we must first appreciate the air. It is through the air that their sound waves travel, so that their resonance may align with our body's own internal resonance, achieving a physical attunement.
Thank you. It all began about 3.5 years ago after Anita died. I became progressively more tired, less able to do the routine things that one does while living. It got to be to the point that I told my son Stephen that I was ready to die. I could not go on that way. Then Stephen took me to a pulmonologist, a doctor that deals with lung disease. And she took one look at me and said, "He needs oxygen." And life was restored. This air stuff is interesting. You can't see it unless you live in Los Angeles. You can't smell it unless rude odors are inserted. You don't know it's there unless you don't have it. It's like water to fish. But it is a real thing. It is lots of molecules, millions, mostly nitrogen and inert gas, but about 1/5 oxygen, a very active gas, and lots of lesser, mostly inactive gases. Air has weight and density, and it is essential for all animal life as we know it. All of the energy our bodies need is produced by combining with oxygen through a complex set of amazing chemical reactions. If you climb mountains, the air gets thinner. Your brain and muscles start to tell you they are not getting as much oxygen as they need. If you climb gradually, you can adjust to the lower levels of oxygen, but not completely. At some point, you become unconscious and then die. If you live at high altitude, like the indigenous natives of the Andes, your oxygen-carrying hemoglobin increases in quantity. If you dive into lakes or oceans and use assisted breathing devices, compressed air dissolves increasingly into your blood and other tissues. This has consequences. If you come up too quickly and the gases don't have time to get back to the lungs, or they may form bubbles in your fat or joints or muscles or nerve cells. Not good. You can have pain, paralysis, or death. This disease is called the bends. And how does oxygen get into us so it can be used? Through our lungs, of course. They too are amazing, providing an enormous surface for gases to interchange into and out of our bloodstream and be distributed throughout our bodies. And that is why I carry this noisy box around with me, connected by plastic tubes to my nose, so that extra oxygen can get to my lungs, which don't work properly, and then to my blood, so I can stay alive.
Thank you, Richard. We're so grateful for that box that you bring with you. And all the people who gave us the technology and the know-how to deliver oxygen in that way. And thank you to Karen for your beautiful playing for us. And thank you to Sean for your poetry. And thank you to Jeremy for your reflections. Air, wind, breath, spirit, oxygen pumps, flatulence, all the particles and molecules that make up our invisible always and everywhere communion. Ruach, pneuma, spiritus, breath, life. We take it for granted until we don't. We don't have to wait until it's hard to breathe or we're at the end of our life to be grateful for it. We can be grateful now. We can be grateful anytime we remember to be grateful for breath and for life. We can be inspired now. We can conspire now. Intentionally bringing our attention to the substance of life, that which connects us, and what it needs to flourish in these times. When we focus on the elements, be it air or breath, water, fire, flowers, or earth, we are reminded that life is movement, flow, and connection, giving and receiving, transformation, and change. All are connected to the basic elements and cycles of life: carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, birth, death, cruelty and kindness, beauty and brokenness, joy and sorrow, harm and healing. We can't hold ourselves apart from any of it, but we can choose what to focus on, what to give our life energy to, what to grow. And that's why we come here, isn't it? To remember that life is communion and that we have choice and our choices matter. May it be so, and blessed be.
Things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the broken pieces of the brokenness inside me. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that cause me pain. I am not the pieces of a dream I left behind me. I am light. 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 I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I'm not my race. My soul inside is all I am light. I am light. I